Oh, it's countdown.
Obviously so. Welcome to Unpacking Culture. Um, it's a little different. Maybe I won't do this because I felt kind of glary. Hey Tiff, how are you?
In the words of my late grandmother, fair to middling. How you?
Still never know what to say when I hear somebody say that, but like whatever that means, I'm actually good. And for those of you that have missed us, we've been gone for a, a grip. I
Gone
feel
for
like
a minute. Now we back
when
again.
we left, I felt like it was breezy, like a fall day, but it was really spring. And now it's just hot as hell everywhere
Everywhere. It's
and storming.
ridiculous. The heat. It's ridiculous.
Eh,
It's really a problem.
It's like that. So things are a little different today. Obviously, I'm in at a different spot um, as we try to figure this out. We got, every time you listen to the show, watch the show, whatever you're doing, there's always a different experience because we're always trying something new. So maybe we should change the name of this show to Unpacking the Experiment.
You know what?
it's, it's
You
never.
will not do us.
I might. Anyway, if you are tuning in for the first time, welcome to Unpacking Culture. We're happy that you're here. If it's not your first time, welcome back. If you're not watching, if you're listening on the podcast, welcome. If you don't know about the podcast, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, Stitcher, Boss FM. It's in a lot of any Google podcast. I don't know all of the podcasts. I haven't even said that whole spiel in a couple of weeks. But it's all good. Here we are with another edition, and we're actually going to jump right into it. Um, Obviously, a lot of the times we're having conversations that I feel like you should be having with your family and your friends around the
Facts.
dinner time.
Facts.
Around the dinner table, at the brunch table, in your living room. I have them in my living room,
Facts.
and that's what we have. So as we kind of jump into this one, it may get a little raw. It may get a little, this is a two-part series. As far as we know so far, it's going to be two weeks. It could be longer than that because I think it's a valuable conversation. And next week, we're hoping to bring some additional people into the conversation with us. And so that should be exciting as well. But as far as this week goes, we're actually going to talk about being culturally comfortable. Which, when I just say that, it's like a blanket statement, right? What is being
Right.
culturally comfortable? Like, are you comfortable in your culture? Like, yeah, like most people are like, I'm fine where I am. I'm comfortable with it. I know some people that hate their culture.
Some people say I'm black and I'm proud, in the words of James Brown.
Some other people say I'll never be like those black people. I'll never be like those niggers. So we hear both sides of it. That said, why don't you take the reins? And
So, what we mean by culturally comfortable is a couple of things. So, we're going to start with our definition of cultural comfortability, so to speak. Um, Culturally comfortable can be a couple of things. It can mean you married your comfort zone. It can mean your job is a comfort zone. It can mean your family is stuck in a locale that is your comfort zone. Big mama's big mama, grandmama, aunties, uncles, mama, dad, aunt, cousins. Everybody has lived in this city for as long as I've known. So I'm gonna live in this city. I'm not gonna go out of this city. It could be culturally fearful of expanding your horizons, seeing new cities, going new places, taking classes, expanding your knowledge. I have actually heard stories of people being first generation college students and getting pushback on that. So being culturally comfortable can be a lot of things. What it hold or what the overall not symptom, the overall impact of being culturally comfortable is you tend to stay in that comfort zone, which means it may take generations for a cultural shift to change in your circle, in your family, in your own life, whatever, before you start to get out of your bubble and out of your comfort zone, or whatever that is. Not all comfort zones are bad, but when it comes to being culturally comfortable, I consider that stagnation, for certain instances and certain cases, especially I had a pastor tell me one time, and Alex, you'll know who I'm referring to. It's okay to have a moment. Don't let that moment become your lifestyle. Don't let that become your life. So it's okay to have moments where you are in a particular zone or spot in your life or whatever. But if you believe that you are on this earth to just go to work, pay bills, and die, we are not going to be able to allow you to continue to have that notion.
We hope.
We hope.
You know, and I think that great introduction. I think great lead in to kind of where we feel like we're going. But I guess I would come back with like an example of, and I liken it to, I have a number of friends that were like born in a certain place and eventually moved away. I'm going to use this example just because I think this is where a lot of people will be able to relate. If you're one of those people that feels like he or she may be, you're good with where you are. Like you're good with what you do. You're good with where you are. You think it's okay because everyone around, and this is where it starts, right? A lot of us, and I speak to Black culture a lot on this show. I speak to Black culture in general because I am Black culture. I'm a part of Black culture. I know Black culture. I live Black culture. And you also hear me say a lot of things here. When people say, oh, Black people don't do this or we don't do it. Black people, if you're Black and you do it, Black people do it. That's how I look at it. That's what it is. And like we're multifaceted. We're not. Anyway, what happens is, for the most part, we grow up in these cities, you know, like when a lot of people we know after post-slavery, generations after slavery, families from the South migrated to the Midwest. There was a number of families that they went to New York or they went to the Midwest, specifically states like Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, even Kansas. You know, there's like Detroit. I'm sorry, Michigan. I'm saying states. And we migrate to these areas and we're so comfortable because our families are there. We're comfortable because that's where everyone is. This is our core, our nucleus is there. Our support system is in these cities. And so somebody will get the inkling or the feeling. And maybe it happened generations ago in your family. Maybe it just happened, you know, this generation. And someone says, I gotta go. We all doing the same here. We're going through the same cycles. It's the same thing. And it could just be a lifestyle. It could be a life cycle or cycles of addiction. It could be cycles of, sometimes it's cycles of strength. Sometimes it could be cycles of poverty. It could just be all of these things that are happening. And someone's like, I think I need to break away. But so many of us, and I can speak not just to my own family, but to so many of my friends that I know. And Tiff, we probably had similar experiences. My immediate family left when I was a kid, so I didn't have a choice in the matter. And right. So my exposure, my exposure alone kind of changed, and it broke a cycle. And it's painful for people that be like, oh, well, I wish I would have never left. And I'm actually glad that they did, because it broke a cycle. I'm not going to say everything was perfect where we went, but the cycle doesn't look the same, you know? Right. And so the exposure was different, but I would say my parents at that point were culturally comfortable until they decided to move away. And yep. When you move and you leave, your entire support system, family, friends, aunts, uncles, our family play uncles, play cousins, play mamas. You leave all of that, and you find yourself in a place that you're not really comfortable. You still find a culture when you get there, but it's not the culture that you were brought up in. you see that things are different. Now, that said, I have a number of friends that their families are still there, and we talk about it. Like like we said at the beginning of this show today, these conversations that we're having, you should be having. We talk about it like I just want my cousins or I want my siblings to get out and kind of see things that are out there. And so when we have these conversations, I found oftentimes we don't even know how to address that internally with our families. That we don't know. I'll say that we don't know.
And we don't even try, because I'm not saying no, actually I am. From personal experience, like you said, I'm in the same situation. My parents moved me down here when I was young, so it wasn't like, oh no, I'm going to stay up here. So we moved down here, and I would go back home to Ohio during summers, vacations, all of that. And my mom always felt like she had to reprogram me when I got home. Not that I was coming back acting out or anything like that. It's just different. It's two different environments, two different cultures. You are definitely not.
Like she didn't want you to absorb, or did you feel like it was more she didn't want you to become complacent with what you saw?
I think it was a couple of things. One, I think it was, not to be complacent with what I saw, but I think it also was, unfortunately, when you have those shifts in your family, it can sometimes become a battle of cultures. And so it can sometimes be us versus y'all. And I hate to say that, but it's true. Sometimes it really is this is how we do things up here, and this is how we do things down here. So it's just a matter of trying to shift between those two worlds. Mm-hmm. Not that either side is good or bad, it's just different. So having to leave the Midwest mindset and culture and the way things are done with my family up there to come back to Atlanta and the way things were done down here was just different.
Let's get a little raw for a second. Like, what do you think were some? And this it's hard because in conversations like this, I get out of it real quick because everybody knows I talk about everybody. If I know you, there's a chance that I'm going to talk about you on a show or something. What are some traits that you feel like she didn't want you to bring back?
It's funny because I was just having this conversation with someone, I don't even remember. I went back home recently, and now that when you're a kid, you don't see it as much. But when I got older, I was like, got it, noted. So like now when I go home, which admittedly is not as often as it used to be when I was a kid, again, I love my family dearly. I just don't make it.
And I don't think we should say that. Like, there's no love lost here.
There's no love lost here.
This is an analysis, and maybe us reaching out.
It's just different. It's just different up there. When I'll
say something because I don't want to hesitate with this one. And
I'm not.
Okay, go ahead.
And you might be about to say the same thing. And if you're not, I want you to say what you were about to say. But for me now, when I go home, it's like I'm the big city cousin that's coming back home to the Midwest. And like I'm too high and mighty, or I'm too different, or I'm too liberal, or I'm too out there. I'm too much of a risk taker. I'm not understood.
I that probably is a similar perspective. They probably say that. Who knows what they say? Like, I don't really care. There is a lot of, you big time, whatever, all of that. It's also a different perspective. But I think I identified a role that I chose to absorb in a family that, while it's a very loving, very close-knit family, some things just don't get said. Or people just don't want to talk about something. And that's not only am I that with my chosen family, but with my real family, I'm just the one that we're going to have a conversation. Well, this is screwed up. Oh, but you got how many babies? But you married her, and then where does baby come from? Or on the flip side, I know one thing that when I look at, and even when I talk to my friends, if I had been there, there's no telling how many children I would have right now. And that's an example that I'm using, not to say, but there is, and I've said this out of my mouth. There's no reason, there's no way that I would want to be in a place that I'm just sitting around and making babies, going to work and making babies. And when you don't have anything else to do because of a lack of exposure, or from our perspective, with how we came to this conversation today, you become culturally comfortable. And this is what everyone around you has done. It's normal for y'all to start having these babies and listen, you can have a baby when you want to. There's no judgment here. But when you are then crying out about lack of opportunity or lack of access, and you're not looking within to realize that you become very comfortable and complacent with where you are, I applaud and celebrate people that finally break free from what I would call a stronghold. And it's a family stronghold that gets put over us. Sometimes it's guilt. Sometimes it's like, well, if you leave, who gonna take care of your auntie and well, how your grandmama gonna feel? But what about your cousin? What about her? What about her? We are all individual. We're all, as the whites say, human. We're all human. And so since we're all human, I literally feel that, like, we've all had opportunities. And I applaud, I champion my mother. I love my mother so much. If there's anybody that's ever saw me be independent, and she does the same thing to you. If there's anyone that has ever seen my independence and she even said to me yesterday, I posted something, I said, the main disservice that we were taught culturally growing up is to play it safe, play the white man's game and to play it safe. And what I said is, I don't do that. She sent me a message and said, I'm glad that you didn't listen. And a lot of times we don't get that, so we're not able to break free because the guilt is you turn 18, and it's not, we have the misunderstanding that moving in what we feel called to, or what we feel our heart strings, like we feel our heart is called to something, or we feel like moving into something for ourselves, we misconstrue that and we conflate that with abandonment. But you're not abandoning people when you choose you. You're just not. And that we're taught that. And a friend of mine shared with me that he was having a conversation with his therapist, and his therapist said, you are loyal to people that you don't owe loyalty to. And so many times that's our truth. So I lost you, Tiff. Oh, literally. But you're back. Go ahead.
Okay. As you were talking, I couldn't help but kind of equate the battle of cultures. And I hate to use the word battle because it's not like you are going, like this with your family every time you go back home. But I can almost equate that to when you are doing something, changing your circle, changing your environment, changing the way you talk, changing your moving away from your family or anything like that. When I was coming into my own, going to college, leaving college, all of that, my mom and I, leading up to that point, we had the mother-daughter relationship. And for us, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent up to a certain age. And they're always our parents, but there was a clear distinction of the relationship dynamics that were there. So when I started coming into my own and trying to become more independent, there was a struggle that ensued because I was abandoning, in a sense, that relationship dynamic of mother-daughter. It's now adult to adult where it is now. And I think that it's the same when we kind of leave our family or leave that circle of friends that's telling you need to stay in the same city where they're staying in. It's that struggle of, you're leaving me. No, I'm here. So you got to stay here with me. We're in this together. These are the dynamics of our partnership, of our relationship. If you break that, then I'm just over here by myself. I don't know what to do. Um, so I can't hear you. Muted.
You know,
I get it.
new system, whatever.
Yep.
I've long said, and I believe this. One of uh, even me, I have a mental blockage because I need to be respectful. But the hardest thing for a Black parent to do is to realize that your child will always be your child, but your child will
Right.
not always be a child.
Right.
And that is the hardest thing for seemingly a Black parent to understand. And not
Mm-hmm.
all Black parents, right? This experience is not, it's not the same for everyone. There's some
Right.
people that, understand that if you don't give a child independence in steps,
Right.
like, and that's fine. And honestly, how you parent is fun. Like, I'm not a parent, so I don't care. I do care about your child that's culturally comfortable and to the point to where their life at 24 is stagnant. Because no one should be living a stagnant life at 24. You should
Right.
not have the pressures of 20 people on your
Right.
shoulders at 24. And if you do have those pressures, I really admonish you to kind of take a step back and
Mm-hmm.
identify what your responsibilities are.
Yep.
Like, what are you actually responsible for?
I said this to someone a couple of days ago, and it's funny because in my most recent visit home, I was mentioning something about me being in school 10 years ago and how I left school. And I'm still getting asked by family, friends of family, whatever, why'd you leave school again? Because that's not what I wanted to do. So I left and didn't turn back. And I was telling somebody on a call the other day, I don't remember what she said to me, but I said, let me tell you something. I remember the moment I was sitting in anatomy and physiology class and looked at my professor and thought to myself, why am I sitting here about to put myself into further debt paying for my plan B? This was never supposed to be plan A. I don't even want to do this. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a family nurse practitioner. I have never wanted to do any of this. I went to school and got a degree in my plan B and was working on a second degree for plan B. That's dumb. That's dumb. That it was about to be a waste of my time and a waste of dollars.
Look, be like Fantasia and free yourself.
And I did. And never went back.
Listen, the planning for choosing plan B, because that's what you do when you're planning for plan B. You're choosing plan B.
Yep.
Like, that's the choice that you've made for yourself.
Yep.
Now, when you choose,
people are always told, I'm sorry, people are always told, well, I want to do this. Well, you need a plan B. So you need to go to school for this and you need to do this for plan B. Can you let me try plan A first? Let me work on this. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I wanted to say that.
No, I agree with you. And so I think that part of the reason that we are culturally comfortable in so many ways is because we don't really, and I'm a huge proponent of speaking things that you want like into existence.
Right.
Speaking, like, I feel like words have life. They do. Words have life. So
that's actually Bible.
What you say happens. Fact. So I was telling a couple of people, and I think I may have posted it on Twitter. I don't remember. I truly believe that people that have a bad day every day aren't in control of their day because they never talk to it. So call me crazy if you want to. People, if you've been affiliated with me for any number of years, you know that I put that into the universe on my social networks, but I never ever post it until I've already said it to myself. So when I literally wake up, before I talk, I'm not going to talk to anybody before I've talked to myself. And that is something that I chose to do years ago because it puts me in control of my attitude for the day. I'm not going to have a bad day. I'm not going to go. When somebody is rah, 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 very early in the morning, you know who they're not going to have a conversation with is me. I will hang up on you. I will leave. And I'll be frank with you, the first 2 hours of my day, I look at my phone, and I don't even look at my phone first before I tell myself today is greater. I believe that. I'm about to live that out. And that's what it is. Today is greater. It's on my arm. Today, it just is. Today is going to be a great day. And so I've said that for so long. I truly believe that I have a great life because that's all I talk about. I'm in control. So I don't know whoever told me the difference between an ear gate and an eye gate, because I'm so visual. Then I started picturing gates on ears and eyes, but that's neither here nor there. What you see and what you hear, whatever you put in for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes that you're awake, that's literally what your mood's going to be for at least the first 4 to 5 hours that you're awake. Yeah. So if you wake up on some real negative type shit, you're going to have a negative ass day. You're going to start talking about, I can't stand this bullshit ass job. I can't stand this bullshit ass manager. You texting people, where's my damn money? Like you're like,
and you just
like, why are you popping off at 9 a.m.? I'm so annoyed. I can't, okay, all right. And so even with people that are hearing this for the first time, some people, and I found this over the years of me telling people like my routine, people have never even considered this. So people literally figure out I've been miserable because I let myself be miserable. If you're listening to sad ass songs, and you may really love R&B, but if you are listening to some sad ass R&B when you wake up, I love a good ballad.
At 9 a.m.?
But this is why you're sad.
These are facts.
It's really in control of who you are. And so you can find the correlation between what you do and what you have.
And what you say and what you have. Or how you feel. I have found myself getting to 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 o'clock, and I find myself annoyed. And I literally have to take a minute and say, that means I didn't start off today correctly. Let me try this again. And it's and not everybody, that's not going to look the same for everybody. For some people, that's going outside for 5 minutes and walking around the parking lot. I mean, it's in the 90s here, so I'm not doing that. But
listen, people here live with 4 and 5 roommates. Maybe it's just escaping that. Maybe you just go breathe somewhere. I don't know if it's going on a run. I don't know if it's standing. Maybe the shower is where you have to have that moment.
Right.
But if you don't take control of it, if you don't exert energy and put energy into controlling and commanding and deciding for yourself, this is the way things are going to be. And then I'm serious. This is literally how you'll find yourself starting to break cycles.
Yeah.
A lot of people that just said, you know what, I put myself in a different headspace, and I found myself in a different headspace than my cousins and my siblings. And then the next thing I knew, I told my family I was moving across the country.
Right.
They were all upset and everything. It's the best thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
I know people that have moved to places like Alabama, and they're like, it's the best thing I've ever done.
Just because it's different. It's different. And not everybody is going to like when you make decisions for you. Most people won't. When I left school, let me tell you something. To make that phone call to my mother, she was not pleased. And she wasn't even paying for the schooling at that point. She was hot. She was like, you're doing what? What do you mean? I'm sure she saw all the dreams of her baby being a doctor and family nurse practitioner just leaving her brain. And I was like, you just gonna have to be mad. That was probably the first biggest moment in my life that I was like, you are just gonna have to be mad because I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. No. You just gonna have to, and I'm gonna be honest, they were mad for a while that I just quit school and wasn't going back. Be okay with, Alex and I went to a conference a few years ago, and the whole theme of the 3-day conference was tension is good. And I will never forget that. I may forget some of the words that some of the speakers said and all of that, but I will never forget that entire theme of that whole 3-day conference. Tension is good. When you start to feel tension and friction in your life, that normally means a shift is happening and you are breaking a cycle. You're breaking a generational curse. You're breaking, there's a phrase of exchanging generational curses for generational blessings. I'll be damned if I die and haven't exchanged at least one curse for a blessing. Hell no, I'm not doing that. So there will be times in your life when you are trying to, like Alex just said, and like we're talking about, take control and get out of that culturally comfortable space, whether that's breaking from your current circle of friends, breaking from your family, breaking from the city you've lived in your entire life, doing simple. This year I made a decision to take one trip a month. And I have been surprised and amazed at the number of my friends that just randomly text me like, you made this simple decision at the beginning of the year and you have stuck to it and you are inspiring me. It has not been a big thing, but I just made a decision for me. Every month this year, I'm taking one trip. It can be a small trip. It can be a big trip. My mom was like, well, who are you going with? Well, me, myself, and I.
I'm telling you, when it really comes down to it, and I think that what I hope to do is give you steps to identifying where changes need to be made.
Yes.
Sometimes hearing that this is where you are, because you're going to identify with, okay, so I identified that this is where I am, or I'm stuck right here. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to get past this place. I don't know what's next. If I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of the next step. And it's totally normal to be afraid. But this point right here kind of changed my life years ago as well. When I heard, I don't even remember who I heard say this, but most people are afraid of something that has never even happened before.
Yeah.
So like you, and I started to identify for me, right? Oh, I'm terrified because what if?
What if?
What if?
Those two words.
So you're going to be totally upset, perplexed, and afraid of something that has never happened before?
Yep.
You don't even have any data to show you that it's going to go wrong or right.
It's definitely not data, but sometimes you do have words of people saying, well, that probably ain't going to work out for you. You're just special. You're just a little different. You just blah, 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 blah.
Tried that.
Right. Your daddy tried that. Your aunt tried that. It didn't work for her either. You're going to be back in 6 months. That's actually, I think that's what my family told my mom when we moved down here. You'll be back. It's been 20 something odd years.
I have been as long as I can think about. And you are usually my reminder for this. I literally do what I want. Now, this doesn't mean I'm often very nervous. I may be nervous. Fear is probably the wrong word, but I am nervous about moves sometimes because I'm very calculated. Things have to make sense to me. Yep. But once they've made sense to me, I really don't care if it made sense to someone else, because the people don't know people may feel like they know you, but they don't know you. Like you know you. So when it makes sense to you, move. When it makes sense to do it, do it. Yep. And sometimes the problem is too many opinions. But you know what happens when you are culturally comfortable, when everybody has a say, and this is another thing. When everybody has a say, and this is very dangerous. My family is guilty of this in so many ways. And I really hope, actually, I was about to say, I hope they don't feel like I don't value their opinion. I literally love for people to tell me their thoughts and perspective, because I like to weigh things. I like to know one side or the other. I want to be kind of informed. I want to hear. But honestly, your opinion really is not going to make a difference if I made my damn mind up. I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. And then if it doesn't work, I've been doing it that way for so long. I'm going to figure that out too.
Yep. And I just will. You really have to. So you mentioned, we wanted to give you tips on how to recognize when you might have a culturally comfortable zone or space or moment or phase in your life right now. If you start to feel uncomfortable in that setting, your job, your friends, your family, your hobby, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your girlfriends, your city, your home, your state, all those things, when you start to feel uncomfortable and like I call it discernment because I'm spiritual, or when your spirit just like my friends, especially Alex and one of our other friends, always talk about me because there have been people in our circles that no matter how much I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, I'm like, nope, don't like them. Don't like them. Don't like, and Alex is laughing because he knows exactly who I'm talking about. There have been a couple of people throughout the last few years and I'm like, no, I'm sorry. No matter how much people try to convince me, you got to give them a chance. You just mean. You got to give them a chance. No. And I will.
You are kind of mean, and you don't.
I am.
Don't
like people.
Okay, you gotta at least give them like
an opportunity.
Like, did you meet them? Did they even say their name? Like, you just don't. Yep. Okay.
No, not feeling it. Now, and I would eventually, after some poking and prodding, possibly, depending on who it was, give them a benefit of the doubt. And then they would do something that other people around may not have noticed or caught. And I would be like, nope, see, that's why, no. And Alex will attest to this. In my defense, I've ended up being right in every situation that's happened in. Every situation that has happened in.
Someone. You just could.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Most of the situations I have ended up being, in the business ones especially, I have ended up being right. That person was not to be trusted. They end up not being who other people thought they were. So when you start to feel that way, or when you feel like you sitting at your job, and I'm not just talking about you just hate your job. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you you can physically feel or mentally emotional. It's just like
you feel uncomfortable.
You feel uncomfortable with
your normal.
Yes. When you feel uncomfortable with your normal, it's time to start looking at what your normal looks like and how you can shift that. I remember sitting in a job and I was like, I just am again, and back to school, me sitting in class, like, I've been acting since I was in middle school. I have never wanted to stick nobody with no needle for some saline solution. I don't want to do this. I'm out.
I'm notorious for leaving jobs specifically. Not anytime. I used to just.
I gotta go.
It's 2:00 in the morning. This badge works. I'm gonna take my things up there because I'm done. I won't be back.
Now this is gonna age me, but I worked at this one place. I faxed in my resignation and never went back. I said it was gonna age me. Don't make that face. Keep your judgment.
Fax.
I did. Now it was also a very old running store. There was, in the year that I worked there was no reason for them to have a fax machine, but they did. So I faxed it because they didn't have an email address for the location I worked at. Now remember, a retail store. So this tells you how young I was. I faxed in my resignation, not returning. I'm done. I'm actually done here because I was too uncomfortable. I was like, I'll figure it out. I'll get a job somewhere else. I'm not doing this. But don't make. Huh?
No, I was just going to follow up with what you were saying. Feeling uncomfortable about your normal could mean that you're culturally comfortable.
Yeah.
It's time. Listen, bro, it's been too long. It's time to change. If you know that song, you are. Anyway,
Wow.
Second thing, there are too many damn opinions.
Listen to me. There's a phrase, some of y'all may know it, some of y'all may not, but let me tell you on today, good brothers and sisters, saints and ain'ts, real G's move in silence. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your business to yourself. And y'all have heard this before, because when you do move, your parents have told you, now when we go in here, don't go running your mouth about our business. When you go to your auntie's house, all right, now don't go in here running your mouth, even though they could tell all your business when you were a kid and you was acting up. That's beside the point. But you've heard this before. Keep your mouth shut. There are many things I don't tell nobody, especially, love y'all, especially family. Especially family.
This is why you have chosen family, people. This is why. Because sometimes your life is going to align with people that are meant to be there for you to trust them. And to that point, the next point, it is time to grow up.
Now.
It's time to grow up. Listen, it had to be, Jesus, it's 2019. It had to be 15 years ago. And I think, when I read it, I was still on the fence of kind of like, he was like, y'all, some of y'all are too damn grown. Hear me when I say this. Some of y'all, you're not going to get this now, but 5 years from now, you're going to be like, you know what? He said that, and that was for me. Some of y'all are too damn grown for your mama to be your emergency contact.
Oh, I remember us talking about that.
Now you're going to be like, well, you know, my mom is my mom. My mom, listen to me. Some of you are too damn grown for your mom to be your emergency contact.
Especially if they don't even live near you or nothing like that. Well, and even then.
I
sold a whole house to get out the same city as my parents.
I'm trying to tell you, maybe third or fourth. But if you haven't fostered those chosen family relationships, those God-given relationships, these relationships that are here for you too, and then, you know, on another tip, some of y'all, your mama don't need to be your emergency contact, because if something happens to you, your mama does not need to be the first one to get possession of your phone.
Well.
Or your underwear drawer.
Well.
Or your box that's hidden in the back of your closet. None of that has anything to do with this. Sometimes it's just time to grow up. And in growing up, you'll find yourself when you choose, like, I get it. Please understand that I get it. You're close. Listen, your mom, your auntie that's your girl. But your auntie is your mama's sister. She can't be that girl.
Right.
She just can't be. It's time to grow up.
And I agree. I agree. I am like this with my mom. I love my parents to death now. And I will say we are even closer. Since I had a house that I was down the street from where my parents lived. And that came in handy sometimes. But then there were other times let me be clear. My parents are not the kind of parents where they was just popping up at my house and overstepping boundaries. It wasn't anything crazy like that. I just knew in order for me to get out of my own culturally comfort zone, I needed to sell that house and move somewhere that I hadn't lived before. So it was more about me than it really wasn't about them at all, which is why I told them I'm selling this house and moving.
I think that's really good. I think honestly, you lead into almost our last point. Start slow.
Yes.
Because all of this is going to sound overwhelming, especially if you're like watching or you're listening to this right now and you live in Boise, Idaho, and you're like, yo, I've been looking for a sign. It is time for me to move to at least Nashville. And I'm not really.
Or down the street.
I'm not trying to play those cities. But start slow. Listen, take yourself to dinner.
Go to a movie.
By yourself.
Yeah.
And
turn your phone off.
And I'm trying to tell you, they're going to think something's wrong with you.
Yep. Yep.
So you just went, oh, I ain't never seen nobody that just go eat by themselves. You must be doing something. You must be sneaking around. You must got something. You got something you trying to hide. I'm just trying to grow up. I'm just trying to grow up because I have been stifled by you. My life is
And
stagnant
sometimes that's
because of you.
unconscious stifling. It's
Most of
just,
the time it
this
is.
is what we all do.
Most of the time it is.
And listen, starting slow is right. It could be as simple as turn your phone off the last time. Everyone who knows me knows at 11 o'clock, my phone goes on do not disturb. So unless you are dying, good luck getting through. My phone's off. And that I may not be asleep, but you're not going to disturb me. I may be sitting there reading a book. I may be sitting there watching TV. I may be taking a bubble bath. It doesn't even matter. At 11 o'clock, unless you are dying or it is an urgent situation, you just have to talk to me. And people who know me know how to get through, know how to get in touch with me. Other than that, leave a message at the beep. Bloop.
I actually don't.
Yeah, because I'm probably not going to check it.
I have the same. If you do transcend that barrier during my do not disturb hours, it's me and you.
It better be. I mean, are you in jail? You need to come.
I think these are some good things to begin with, right? Let's not move too fast, but the recognition that something is awry.
Yep.
This isn't normal. You're doing too much. You're not able to, like, you feel like you can't grow. You feel like I just don't, something's not right. Or you feel like you're having a crisis, a midlife crisis every year. Sir, ma'am, please, sir, you are 26. You shouldn't be having midlife crises every year. It shouldn't be happening.
No, I mean, I cannot emphasize these points that we've gone over enough of, if you are uncomfortable with your norm, and again, it's not just, oh, this job get on my nerves, this manager is terrible, blah, blah. I mean, a genuine discomfort with where you are. Keep your opinions, stop asking, start telling. Stop asking for permission from your circle to do what you need to do for yourself. And that circle can be your friends, your family, your aunties, your uncle, your boss, your professor. I don't care who it is. Stop asking for permission from somebody else for your grown ass decisions. It is okay to gather opinions if you really need it. But I don't call my mom, my dad, my sisters, my brothers, my chosen family, my blood family. I'm not calling anybody and asking permission to fly to New York and see a Broadway show.
To live.
I'm leaving. I'm not asking. I'm leaving. Here are the dates where I'll be gone. Well, where are you going? I bought a Broadway show ticket. I'm going to go see it. Oh, well, who are you going with? The Lord. I'm going by myself.
No.
I don't need. You don't need permission to go take that community class on coding because you're trying to better yourself. You don't need permission to start looking for another job. Stop trying to tell you. That's a whole other conversation.
I'm getting antsy because I'm just like, Alex,
stop asking permission and start.
I'm in London.
Huh?
When did you get to London? This morning.
This morning.
Oh.
Well, what's there? I don't know. I'm about to find out.
I'm here. Me.
Present.
Me.
Present.
So, like, the stats are staggering. Like, we know we're telling the truth because the number of people that have never gone out of a 50-mile radius of where they live, like, the number is something like some crazy number, like 68% of people.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
It's an outrageous statistic. And so the truth is your worldview is as limited as what you've been exposed to. That's my final statement. You only know, and so some of you come into the conversations, and this I don't know if conviction is the right word, but some of y'all should just really feel like trash because you got something to say. Did I just say that?
You did.
I meant that. Some of you should really feel like trash because you have so much to say in the Shade Room comments.
Ooh.
You have so much to say about things on Twitter and Facebook. And you've never been anywhere.
Ooh.
You are commenting about things and people that you, and literally this is on every spectrum, from politics to religion to sex to sexuality. You have had nothing but the pleasure of your hand or your fingers, and you have something to say about somebody's lifestyle choices. You live in Phoenix City, Alabama. Closest, biggest city is Opelika. You haven't even been there, but you've got an opinion about people that are going to hell. You shut the hell up. Go somewhere. Live your life. Do something. Do better. Be better. Be best. Words from y'all's first lady.
In the words of Sister Act, if you want to be somebody and you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. This country is already, if you are Black, brown, minority, this country is already stacking the odds against you. Don't let your family and your circle and your circumstances add on top of that. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Start small, start slow, keep your mouth shut, stop asking permission, start telling people. And if you have to tell people what your plans are, 1, make it a limited number of people. And 2, don't start telling until you are confident in what you are telling. Because if you start telling before your own confidence hits, then their words can make you second guess.
No, they will.
They will absolutely make you second guess.
They will.
Some of my biggest decisions, I just don't tell people. It could be my mama. It could be my dad. Now, at this point, my mom knows quite a bit because she knows I'm just telling. But
you got to be sometimes you got to be spontaneous to be successful. Because that level of comfort will keep you down. You won't be successful, bro.
Yeah, no.
Mom, dad, auntie, uncle, grandmama. Your family has been holding you down for 70 years. You have taken care of 3 generations. Baby, it's time for you to live on your own.
And set yourself up and set the next generation up.
Grandma, you don't owe nobody nothing.
Except yourself.
You're telling your great grandbaby, all right, bring her over here. I keep your baby. No, I won't. That's your baby. You keep her.
I'm going to live.
You had her.
I'm going to live.
Ooh,
y'all
this has actually been good to me. This has actually been some good reminders for myself.
Yeah, do it afraid. That's one of my favorite statements. I'm considering getting a tattoo of it on myself. Do it afraid.
Get it on your titty.
Huh?
Get it on your
No.
Get a big auntie tattoo right here on your titty.
Stop calling me. Do it afraid, y'all. Like and let me say this one last clarifying thing. If you don't have people that are telling you to be careful or you should, maybe not do this or whatever, and you don't have any, this is going to sound so corny, but negative Nancy's in your life, you might be that negative Nancy. Shut the hell up. Stop stifling the people around you. And maybe figure out what you should be doing for yourself. I'm done. That's not on that.
Right. If you said anything that I got from tonight's conversation is you might be that negative Nancy.
It might be you, sis. Bruh. Might be you.
Or negative Nick.
Yeah, it might be you.
I don't think you exempt because she didn't say a male name.
Okay. Might be you.
Negative ass Nick.
Stop talking. Stop stifling people. Stop stifling yourself and stop stifling people around you. Get out of your comfort zone. And it doesn't have to be expensive to travel. So I don't want to hear that excuse either.
Listen, it's not expensive to go to Birmingham.
It's not.
Okay. How do people keep up with you?
Tiff Lanelle everywhere. Facebook, Twitter.com. I think that's it.
Okay.
How to
Similar.
get in touch with you?
Alex, unmuted, just about everywhere. Everywhere that you need to be, that's where we are. And then we are back here. Same time, same place next week, or same time, same place in your podcast app, wherever you're listening, however you're listening. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Unpacking Culture. Next week, we'll be talking about this kind of. We're taking it a step further. I'm really excited about part 2.
I am too. If you have comments or questions, concerns, I actually really want y'all to send in your questions. So if you just have like a burning question after listening to this episode, send it to us. You can tweet it to us. You can Facebook it to us, whatever. Send your questions to us because we're going to have some other people join us for part 2. And I really want to know what y'all are thinking or what your actual concerns are or fears are. Send us your fears. All of that. We want all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to get it to us, if you're not gonna slide in the DMs, I think that they can just send it to unpackingculture@bossfm.com.
Yep, do that.
It's .co, but it should say .com.
Y'all get the point.
It's a new system again.
We working on it.
It really does. Oh, it does say. You see there?
I saw it scroll.
That's ghetto. All right, we're out of here again. Yeah, we are.
Yep. Night.
We love y'all.
Peace, love, and hair grease.
Good night.
I need some hair grease in this hair.
Oh yeah, it was kind of nappy.